What's up, everybody? This is Littlest here.
What's up, everyone? It's ICanSnake.
Greetings, everyone. This is CC Trainor-Ling.
What's going on, guys? It's James the Con Man, and I'm the one who wants to be with you, and deep inside I hope you feel it too.
With that said, let's jump right into the plot. So the plot here is that Blythe and Zoe tried to return a set of keys to a boy named Josh Blythe met in the park with some help from Sunil's psychic abilities, which Sunil himself has little faith in. Sunil assumes Blythe is lost in the city and enlists the other pets along with a visiting parrot who claims to be a legendary hero to help find her.
Alright, my first positive, Sunil. The reason why I have to say that he's my first positive, not just because, of my name, but more or less because of the fact that this shows about his psychic visions only. I wish they could do more with it, like if they bring it back more often during the show, but,
Yeah, I definitely have to agree that Sunil was pretty good in this episode as far as his visions go. He was pretty accurate to what he was seeing, he didn't really elaborate too much on what the visions really meant. He just kind of thought about just the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he sees a lion, but he thinks zoo, but no, there's a library that has a lion statue in the same shape as his vision. So he's not really wrong. He just, wasn't really thinking too much about it.
Yeah, or he didn't know.
Yeah.
Another character I'd like to talk about from this episode is Zoe, of course, being the resident Zoe lover again. The part in the beginning where she's looking for her missing beret, it reminds me of the common mistake when someone's looking for their cell phone, but it's in their hand all along, so they're just frantically searching for it when they finally realize it's in their hand. And it really applies here because Zoe has been shown to be a ditzy dog in the first few episodes, and it's really cute when she does that, and it's so funny.
Or rather, I guess a more fitting comparison is like if somebody has sunglasses on or regular glasses on their head and they're trying to figure out, honey, where'd you put the sunglasses? And they're like, on your head. So it's the same kind of situation, I think.
Yeah, I wear glasses all the time, I barely ever take glasses off, and I still have that same thing, where it's just okay, where are my glasses? Oh wait, I'm already wearing them. Another positive I want to talk about real quick is the song. Yes, well, the song is only about 40-something seconds, I think.
A minute and a half.
I forget how
Yeah.
long it is.
A minute and a half, but it's only one real chorus and one real verse of singing.
Yeah.
What I like
don't
about
think
it is
it's
that
the true song, per se. It's really more of a generic rock performance.
But all honesty, actually, this turned out to be one of my favorite songs of season 1 because of the fact that it's just really catchy. Kylie Epps' voice is fantastic as always, and for me, being a musician, not and everything, the harmonies and the stuff during that refrain. Final thing I wanted to mention about is that a message to Daniel Ingram: please make an extended version with words.
Yes, I agree with this. This is too good of a song. It's a little generic for my taste, but too good of a song to have to as this short. I mean, he did it for Find a Way for Milo Pony. He can do it with this.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with this because Crush is my second favorite absolute song in LPS of all time, just behind the Pets introduction song in the series premiere. I absolutely adore the song so much, you have no idea. And since this is a Zoe song, it makes it so much better. And early on in the fandom, there have been great remixes about the song, like the one by MRP Pony and the one yelling by Soul Rack, who makes this song hilarious.
And the one that James did.
Oh,
yeah. I was gonna say I did one, but I actually got to do it because that was kind of a spur of a moment. Did it in an hour.
It's funny because that actually was the first variant of that song that I heard.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, really.
Dang.
Yeah.
See, James, you're famous.
You're just blown away by this, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just kind of wow.
One of my positives would definitely have to be Esteban Banderas. I can totally relate to him because we've all had those moments where we love to exaggerate about ourselves to make ourselves look more cool among other people.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah, come on, we've all done it.
Another positive I have is Josh Sharp and Blythe and how they're so romantically involved already. This is the first episode where Josh is introduced, as well as the first canon romance in the show. The conversations between themselves, and even just Blythe herself, are really, really funny. She's lost in love and mixed up in words, and Zoe herself hinted at the end of the episode that we'll be seeing him again sometime, and he actually showed up in the episode back window, so she wasn't wrong.
I kind of want to say a few things about Josh real quick, because originally I wanted to hate him, because I hate this kind of character that's just there just for romantic reasons. Because they're normally poorly written. They're normally only there, again, just as a romantic interest. And they normally are so one-dimensional that if they turned into a profile, they would disappear from plain sight. But I didn't get that vibe from Josh as much as I did some other characters I've seen this week. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is not perfect. There's only so much character development you can do with one guy in 22 minutes. So I feel they actually kind of did the best they could in that time frame compared to another character they did in another show that shall not be named in a movie that has this guy literally as one-dimensional as where he disappears in plain sight in a profile. But yeah, I originally wanted to hate Josh with a burning patch. I just couldn't. Well, I couldn't hate him as much as I wanted to.
Wow.
Because Back Window kind of made me like him a little more. But I originally was just like, see, I told you no good would come from teenagers with impeccable hair.
But it's just hard to hate Josh because just based on this episode, he doesn't even look like a bad guy. He just looks like any other regular teenager.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look that exaggeratedly hot. Like, oh my God, look at him. He is hot. He plays guitar in a band. Ain't he a hottie, girls?
He also reads books.
Yeah.
Who reads books?
The thing that bothers me about him is the fact that they don't bring him back for like another 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what originally
Like, oh yeah, hey, remember this guy? Yeah, we're bringing him back now.
Yeah, see, that's why I originally hated him whenever I first saw this episode, because I didn't think he would be coming back, but he came back, and he was actually a good guy. Just misunderstood. So, it's because of that more current episode, I don't hate them as much. But, just going with there were only 8 episodes in kind of mindset, yeah, I despise this guy. But the current mindset is not.
Yeah, not bad.
So I want to start with the first negative, but it's kind of a nitpick from me. And one thing that kind of irks me a little bit is how Zoe tries to over-exaggerate Sunil's psychic powers. Like, she thinks he found her beret using his psychic powers, when in reality it was just on her head. And then she never lets Sunil finish his sentences, and then thinks he's being too modest about his abilities. It's like she's messing around with him without she's even knowing it. I feel like I've had something like this happen to me before too, where someone over-exaggerates something that I can do, and then I fail the activity when everyone's looking at me, and like I feel like they're all laughing at me afterwards. I don't like it when someone does that.
Well, you have a point there, but think about it like this. If Zoe hadn't have really made such a big deal out of Sunil's psychic visions, Sunil probably wouldn't have been able to, pinpoint where Josh would have been later on in the episode, or even go on that chase to find Blythe.
Yeah.
So really, all that over-exaggeration worked out for the best.
Yeah.
One of my other negatives is that Zoe was being more of a ditz in this episode. In the very beginning anyway, but granted this is the beginning of the series, they're still developing the characters, so they're trying to figure out how the characters are going to go and what way they'll take. So, I can let that slide, but I really didn't have much of a problem with this episode.
The only real thing that I question about the episode is the missing beret. I mean, I understand what Snake said, but for me, it's kind of hard to not feel the beret on your head, especially after Sunil yanked it off and Zoe's head was, jerked around a little bit. I don't know how she wasn't able to feel it in the first place, or, even before he yanked off the beret. I don't know. Usually Zoe knows whether or not she's, with her beret or not. But hey, it's not really a negative. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so for me, overall, this was a pretty good episode for the 8th episode of the series. Was it one of my favorite episodes? Not even close. I mean, it was good, but it just wasn't up there in my list. A little bit more character development, great Sunil episode. We got to meet Josh, who doesn't show for the 2 seasons. Pretty good, small song. Danny, please make a longer version with lyrics. And, so this episode I'm going to give a 8 out of 10.
This episode is absolutely amazing, I think. And it's like a total masterpiece. It's got a lot of humor, like when Twombly brings in Esteban, she says, "No habla de Espanol." That was just really funny to me. And there were many different subplots in this episode, like Sunil trying to control his psychic abilities, Esteban and his stories, and Blythe trying to find Josh the whole episode, which turns out to be a continuing plot throughout the whole series. This episode is really entertaining, and I loved it when it first aired, and I still love it now. This is my top 10 favorite episodes of this whole series, so I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
For me, I thought this episode was very well written, as in everything I think coming full circle. Blythe was great, and so was Josh. I believe this is the first real shipping I've seen in the series, and I for one embraced the shipping because of how real it feels, and there's obviously some sort of connection they share as future episodes point out. Josh is a great guy, and I think would make a great OTP with Blythe, but that's just me. When it comes to the pets, I can really relate to Esteban, as I'm sure many others can as well. We've all had those moments where we exaggerate about ourselves in front of new people just to look impressive, so I don't blame this bird for doing what he did, and I'm glad Vinny learned to accept who he really was in the end. I also thought Sunil's visions were pretty good. Of course, his timing on catching up with Blythe was off, and his locations were not exact, but they were close enough in terms of actual features on the outside of the places Blythe was going to. So his visions were not so much wrong, as much as they were just simple visions that went in a different direction. Or more or less, Sunil only thought about one possibility on what his visions meant, rather than thinking about the other possibilities his visions could have had. At least that's how I see it. The Crush song is what really sealed the deal for me in this episode. Even though it was only one verse and one chorus of actual singing, it was still an awesome tune. The only other thing I can say about this episode is not really negative, but a little bit questionable, and that is Zoe not realizing her beret was still with her. I don't understand how she couldn't feel it on her head, both before and after Sunil yanked it off. Perhaps she was too distracted to notice it was missing in the first place? I don't know. Usually Zoe knows whether or not she's wearing her beret. But like I said, I don't label it as negative. It's just something that leaves me scratching my head. Above everything else, this episode was pretty solid with no actual complaints, with everything coming full circle. I give this episode a 9.3 out of 10.
Well. When I first saw this episode, this is back whenever I was first getting into the show, I was not much of a fan because, UPS. Right. And I just thought this episode would have just been crap. Because at the time, that was the only time we saw Josh. I thought he was as dull as dishwater. Because he was just the generic pretty boy type to me. Because, oh, he skateboards, he plays lead guitar in a band, and blah, blah, blah. Blah. It's been done a million times. But having seen Back Window and rewatching this episode, I feel like I was a little harsh. I'm still anti-shipping. Don't get me wrong, I'm still anti-shipping. But I now think this episode's a bit cuter than I originally thought. The missing beret thing, I kind of agree, like I said before, with the sunglasses comparison, it just seemed a little stupid. The one thing that kind of saved this episode was actually the song. And I expected to hate it at first, too, because I thought it was just, generic, pop rock kind of crap. But, listening to it again and, having covered it, which I plan to probably do again, hint. Yeah, it's actually a lot better than I originally thought, now that I think of it. And, I'm with Sunil on this one. We need a longer version. Not just for my own selfish desires to cover it, but also just because I want to hear more. If they worked on the lyrics a little more, it could be a fantastic piece. But now for an overall score, this one's kind of hard. I'm gonna have the best I can honestly give it is a 7.5, I think. Just because, originally it was a 5. But, having rewatched it again and watched Back Window and got to know more about Josh, yeah, it raised it up about a 2.5 points. So, 7.5.
So next week we're going to be reviewing Season 2 episodes, so let's see what we get.
Randomize. So what episode are we going to get, you guys?
The Expo Factor.
Yes!
Yeah!
Well.
That's
Now-
interesting.
Just let me go into bulk biceps real quick. Yeah! I can't do it right now. I can't yell.
Yes! Yes! Come on, Tony.
You must really love that episode, don't you?
Yes.
I think everyone loves the episode.
Everyone in the Great Aunt Mabel loved that episode.
And plus we get to see Delilah. Alright guys, so this is Sunil Nation 98.
ICanSnake.
CC Trainor-Ling.
The Heartbreak Con Man, James.
And this is League of Petshoppers signing off. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace out, home slices.
See you later.
See you next week. Rock on.
And this concludes our broadcasting day.
Hello everybody, Downloads Bacon here, being awesome as always. Yeah, they told me the review was going to be in a location with a bowl. I guess I should have asked a follow-up question, but I don't know why I jumped the gun and assumed that it was at an ice cream place. But since I'm here, hello, yeah, I was gonna try a cucumber and basil. Oh, awesome. That was fast. Thank you. Let me find a table, start this review, and, between you and me, she's kind of cute, actually. But I digress. Let's start the show. Now, it'll come to a surprise to no one that I love this episode. One thing that I really enjoy about Season 1 episodes compared to Season 2 and Season 3 is that Season 1 we're focusing on introducing our characters and really showing what their talents and traits are. So this is why we have episodes about Vinny liking dancing, or the third episode was about Minka and painting, and we have a few Sunil episodes with magic, and of course we don't have too many in Season 2 or Season 3. So in my opinion, Sunil is a huge positive in this episode and a huge point in this episode. I mean, he's the whole reason why we even get this episode to begin in the first place. Actually, him and Zoe, because something that I noticed that people somewhat complain about is how the episode started, with Zoe losing, in quotations, her beret. So even though it's clearly on her head, it happens that there are incidents where we lose something even though we're clearly have it in our possession or wearing it. So it happens. But you see, if you can think of a different way for this episode to start, that we can establish Sunil's psychic powers and have them be presented to Blythe and have Blythe actually believe that and have it work and have this episode be somewhat the same except not using Zoe, then by all means you can comment on the comment section below and let me know if you can think of something. Keep in mind that if the other pets had lost something, they wouldn't ask Sunil to use his magic to try to find it. The person who would, or the pet mind you, is Zoe. Zoe does believe in Sunil's magic a little bit more than the others because she has referenced it another time in the season with Blythe's pet project, where she accuses Sunil of using his magic to take everyone's stuff away. Since I'm on the topic of Sunil's magic, I might as well just wrap all of this up with Sunil. I was going to try to be positive and negative, but I'll try to just wrap things up as the topic matter goes on. With Sunil's predictions being very vague, being, well, all I can see is a bolt, that's not really much to go on, and they have to really think about what locations have bowls. Now, something that a lot of people were complaining about, you guys mostly, is that, okay, there's a bowl, of course they've got to be thinking about the escape location, right? But the pets don't know about that location. There's a lot of locations they don't know about. And the whole thing with the lion and the bowl, Sunil was not the one that said, well, it's at the zoo. No, it was Esteban who said, you know, I think it's at the zoo. Now, they were assuming where the location was because there's just one item, just lion. Well, lion is at a zoo. We don't know of any libraries. Why would us pets need to go to the library? Maybe Russell. Then again, there's no pets allowed, so his owner probably wouldn't take him there. And speaking of our guest Esteban, I have nothing against Esteban. I actually liked him. He was pretty enjoyable and funny. Zumba, zumba, yeah, yeah. You know you're pretty awesome when Danger is your middle name, Danger is your last name, and Danger is also your nickname. I don't know about you, but that'd be awesome. Imagine that. Downloads Danger, Danger, Danger. Just sounds epic. Another random note is that Vinny looked him up in the electric box thingy, but then again, I don't think Vinny knew how to spell his name, so that's why I don't think he was able to find him. I mean, yeah, I know he made the story up, but still, try spelling Esteban Banderas without using any help. Yeah, but other than that, I really do enjoy the pet plot. It's pretty good. But to the A plot with Blythe and returning the boy his cutes, and Zoe tags along. The problem I have with any crush-related episode is that it can either bring very awkward comedy, which can be somewhat cringeworthy, or it can be really funny. So it can be one or the other, which I'm glad that here it was mostly funny and entertaining. But it's kind of a gamble when it comes to these crushes. And speaking of the crush, I guess we can talk about Josh Sharp a little bit, who isn't a bad character. He's alright for at least the introduction. But they kind of played him to be the perfect heartthrob, more or less, because, I mean, he's a little bit of a rebel, he's a skater, he's got a scar on his cheek to show he's tough, and he reads books. Come on, that's like a full circle perfection for some. And Josh does nothing to really deserve any strong amount of hate. It's maybe just a guy thing. Well, he just seems like he has all the credentials of being perfect. Oh, and most people don't like a perfect character. Of course, we learn in due time that Josh Sharp is not perfect. And we learn a little bit more about his character, and he grows on us. So I guess you can say he's a skater boy. And speaking of pop rock, Crush, the song, was pretty good. It worked. I mean, it was one verse, one chorus. It was good. Wish there was a guitar solo, but, you know, it's just my personal opinion. But the song was great, and It's a favorite of mine, for sure. Also, Mrs. Twombly was great. She always is. You guys already know that from me, that I'm gonna say that. She does not speak the Spanish. I should probably wrap this up since my ice cream is melting and I really want to eat it. So, overall, this was a great episode. In a technical standpoint, this episode was done very well. With a very simple plot, there's no chance of error. And messing around with magic here and there, it's fun to do, especially with the cartoon like this one. Any episode where Sunil uses magic, I don't know, I just like those episodes a lot. Something about it. Also, something else that I just wanted to say is that Josh is not absent for 2 seasons, he's absent for 1 season. He's only absent for season 2. I don't know why everyone keeps saying he's absent for 2 seasons, because that would imply that he's absent for seasons 2 and 3. So with that in mind, I'm going to give this episode a 9.75 out of 10. This episode is pretty good, actually. Can't really think of anything that's strongly wrong with it. It just had no super amazing moments besides the song, but it was still good. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to eat my ice cream that used to be ice cream, but now it's just liquid. I'm probably going to drink that. So I will be seeing you in the next episode. So thanks, and thanks again. I'm probably going to ask to grow up. Probably not. Kind of a coward.